You're listening to Pole Parlour, a fun, inspiring podcast for all those bewitched by pole dance. Each week, your Madam Crimson Minxxx has candid conversation with unique, engaging individuals from within and around the pole dance community. Pole Parlour is passionate about preaching creativity, soulful sensuality, and empowerment through pole dance.
You know how we do.
Welcome, everyone, to Pole Parlour. This is episode 5, Tonya Kay. I'm your host, Crimson Minxxx. On this episode, we have Tonya Kay. Tonya is a dancer / actress / artist / businesswoman who discovered pole dance through her immersion in the world of experimental performance art. Tonya speaks with us about the magic of live performance and shares her inspiration and experience with producing and starring in the Pinup Pole Show, which is a full-scale production in Southern California featuring classic cars, retro burlesque, and pinup pole dancers. As you'll see, her passion and positivity for art and dance is contagious. And as always, head over to the blog at poleparlour.com where you'll find Tonya's post-podcast interview where she shares her favorite photos, music, pole dance video, and more. So without further delay, here's Tonya. So welcome, Tonya Kay, to the Pole Parlour podcast. How are you today?
Hi, Crimson. I'm great. It's so good to be on the Pole Parlour. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. Jumping in, I get the sense that you have a long history as a dancer. Have you been dancing all your life?
Yeah, with the exception of 2 years after graduating valedictorian from high school, where I worked in factories because I grew up in a farm town and I didn't know where to perform. I didn't even really know that I was born to be an artist. So I worked in factories and I had 13 jobs in 2 years. And I got fired from all of them. And I got arrested eventually. And I thought that I was like a loser until I discovered Chicago. And I basically got cast. And the day I got cast in my first professional production as a singer, dancer, actress, I never worked again. I'm not a loser. I'm an artist.
Ah, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Michigan, in a farm town in Michigan.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then you eventually found your way to LA.
I did via Chicago and then New York and then touring for a cumulative 5 years of my life. So I've been to every state and like 18 countries. And then I wound up in Los Angeles as well, because you got to try all the major markets. You know, there's lessons to be learned by living and working in all of them. Yeah.
And what kind of dance do you do? What did you start just kind of like as a kid in ballet or gymnastics or everything?
No, I started because my mom caught me watching Star Search, and there were these tap dancers who danced a cappella, and I didn't even know what that meant. It means sans music. It means without music. They were making the music with their feet. And I was shaking my booty in front of the TV, and my mom said, "Do you want to take tap lessons?" And thank goodness mom got me into tap dance because rhythm, anything close to the ground, my butt, my thighs, they're like big and strong and rhythmic, and I can feel the earth through them. And I'm not a very grounded person otherwise. I'm all fire and air. So thank goodness for dance, which keeps me grounded, keeps me in my body, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so I started with tap, and pretty much immediately I also started in theater. So I was performing at a very young age, like 4 years old, and I was dancing at 4, and I was singing, and I was acting, and I was learning stage presence and entertainment value and production value, and just creating that community of it's normal to take off your clothes and change clothes backstage in a co-ed dressing room when you're 4 years old, you know? That's my upbringing.
That doesn't fly at a factory, so I think that now we understand why you were fired 13 times.
Didn't fit in to 5.
Oh, wow. So then at what point did you discover pole dancing, and how did you first discover pole dance?
Well, I'd say through my love of movement, you know, dance and performance, I ended up in New York. And in New York, I auditioned for and booked De La Guarda, which is an aerial show. I auditioned for and booked Axis Dance, which is another experimental show. This was modern dance and flagging.
Okay.
And I auditioned for and booked Decadence Theater and performed with this concert hip hop company. And then finally, the accumulation of all of that experimentalness was I auditioned for and booked Stomp. And that was, as a rhythm artist, that was my dream job.
Yeah.
And so up until New York, I had been doing more traditional theater and dance concerts. But at that point, I realized I'm good at experimental stuff. Like I take you put a weird prop in my hand or say, this is weird. Can you do it? I can do it. So I toured with Stomp. I toured and I did all of that stuff. And I went to a pagan gathering, which I am. And the cool kids were around the fire and they had me over to their group and they fire danced. And that was the first time I saw fire dance. And one, not all, it wasn't fire dance that made me want to fire dance. It was this one woman. She was rhythmic. She was in it. She was feeling and expressing the music through her dancing with fire. And that's what I wanted to do. So I taught myself how to spin poi and how to fire dance. And now I have all sorts of props. And then I met Jack Dagger in Los Angeles, and he's a knife thrower. And he and I started knife throwing together. And I picked up all sorts of experimental stuff. I'm kind of passionate. So when I start something, I fucking do it until I'm good at it. And then I perform it, and then I pitch it for performance and I get hired to do it. So through that relationship, I also got a bunch of things handed to me. And I got whips handed to me and I got staff handed to me and contact juggling. But whips was something that I loved and I really got into. So now I have like 12 whips and I can crack a cigarette out of a guy's mouth. And, I do precision cracking and beautiful cracking sequences. And then I toured with a freak show and I toured with Panic at the Disco, who wanted freaky type people.
Yeah.
I learned to stilt dance with Stilt World. So I was in that company and we did TV shows like Glee and America's Got Talent and all this stuff. So at this point, like I have a repertoire of experimental stuff, specialty skills, and stuff I call danger arts. And it was from that love of dance, movement, picking up props, experimenting with experimental performance art that I discovered pole. It was a gig that I think I was probably fire spinning and stilt dancing on in Hollywood. And the Silk Sisters are famous aerialists. They were an aerial duet and they brought poles. And this was back when nobody manufactured stage poles. These were things that they built themselves and kind of like brought to the venue. And I had never seen like a portable pole. I had never seen anyone do this. These were
What year was this?
I don't know. I can't date myself like that.
Well, we don't know how old you are at this point. Would you say this was like, 2007, 8, 2000, like ish or?
Yeah, ish.
Okay. So this was like before there were pole studios on corners where people had heard of it. This was really like an avant-garde type of.
They were of the first doing it as a performance art.
Okay.
And they were aerialists doing it, Okay. And so they had technique and they had performance qualities. And I fell in love because it was choreographed and they were together and it was sexy. And I was like, that's next. So that's how I got into it. And I've been pole dancing for about 4 years now. I'm a big community person, so I don't just train at one studio. I train at every studio. Cool. And I try to meet everybody because I love the community. And, if somebody has a problem with me getting along with everybody, then I don't need to hang out with that person.
What's wrong with that person?
Yeah.
Wow, cool. So yeah, you pretty much do it all. And I actually recommend people to go on YouTube and just search your name, Tonya Kay, because so many rad videos come up. Like it's like so much. There's pole, but then there's burlesque, lots of burlesque, and What's the one where you have like the power saw that you're...
Oh, my
What's that-
signature act.
What's that called?
Machine Shop Grinder Girl. Grinder Girl, and I combine all my specialties into burlesque because I'm such a burlesque performer. And burlesque is like a beautiful way to structure acts, and it's very vaudevillian and theatrical, which I love. And what I love about burlesque is the vaudevillian and theatrical side of it. So my Grinder Girl is not just standing there grinding off of metal. It is an act, and it has a purpose, and it was originally developed. Here's the story of it, because true burlesque has a story, right? So
Yes.
I'm telling a story. The story of my Machine Shop Grinder Girl is she comes out, she's a little bit Rosie the Riveter, you know? She's like she's a hardcore girl. She does stuff. She does whatever she wants. She's working in the shop. She's working in the machine shop. I worked in factories. I work on my car. I know what this is like. And I come out with my toolbox, and I decide that I'm going to create the perfect woman. And so she's in front of me, and I'm looking at her, and I'm using tools that I bring out of my toolbox to shape her. And then they shape me, and then the dance is shaped, and then I put it away. And then I grab another tool, and I mold her this way, or shave off this, and then I'm shaving off me. And it's who is the woman that I'm creating? Is it her? Is it an art piece? Or is it me? Am I the art piece? And by the end, I bring out the grinder. That's my reveal. That's really the burlesque reveal in this act. I bring out the grinder and surprise everyone by taking it to the next level and just grinding sparks off of my metal bikini cod piece. And people have gotten it. You know, some people are just like, whoa, that's cool. But women have come up to me after the show thanking me. They're like, I see your statement on the things that women will do to themselves to create beauty. And I'm like, that is the statement. Thank you. You got it. Like, the story is clear. Thank you.
Badass. Yeah, you're definitely a storyteller. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no fun if there's no character.
Well, yeah, that's where you're also an actress, so that all plays into it. And one of the reasons I was excited to have you on the podcast is because you are clearly an expert performer, and you really know how to kind of turn on and engage with an audience, which is something I think a lot of us kind of struggle with if dance is not in our background. So do you have any hints for us? Like, what can we do if we say we have a pole show and it's one of our first pole shows and we're going out and performing for our friends and family for the first time? Like, what makes for a good performance?
Well, it's not something that I can just say and then you do. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You have to work on it. Performing is an art form, and you get good at it and you get better at it the more you do it. But yes, I actually teach classes. I teach burlesque classes or workshops when I travel, and my burlesque workshop has no dance in it. Burlesque isn't a dance form. When I grew up dancing, you don't take a burlesque class. You take jazz. You take ballet. You take tap. You take hip hop. You take anything, but there is no burlesque dance style. So I feel that you can't come to me and I'm not going to give you a dance class when you want a burlesque class. Of course
That
I
makes
would.
sense.
So I hope that if you want to know how to dance, that you'll go take a real dance class at a studio. But if you want to know how to burlesque, it's really act creation. It's about finding out who you are, and performance is at the heart of who you are. So what I start my classes out with is this exercise, and somebody called it a compliment parade. If they want to call it a compliment parade, that's great. But everybody lines up against the wall, and each individual walks down the wall and looks every single person in the eye and makes an observation. And they turn into compliments because people are generally good people, but it doesn't have to be, and that's what I'm trying to teach people, to look at their audience, because the heart of performance, what makes it a performance? That there's an audience there for you. So the audience is the most important part of performing. And I see so many people stand on stage. They've learned all their tricks. They rehearsed all their moves, but they're ignoring the audience. They're afraid of the audience. They're mean to the audience. The audience is the reason you're here. They're the people paying your paycheck. They're the gift for you. So I step on stage and I look in the eyes of everyone that I can see light on. And I could tell you if they wear glasses, what color their hair is. I could probably tell you how they feel. I listen to them as a host. I listen. I can hear if they're with me. I can hear if they're enjoying themselves. I can hear if they want to respond and they need to be contained. I listen to them and I look to them. Always look to the audience. You will never, ever give a bad performance if you know what color your audience's eyes are.
Wow. Yeah. It's scary. It's scary for a lot of us, but it's like, to me, you just sounded like really like empowered and kind of like turned on by it. Like, so the message is don't fear the audience. Don't be scared to look them in the eye, engage with them. And then
that's your job.
Yeah.
You're performing for the audience.
Yeah.
You can dance in your living room without an audience all you want. But one time when I was living in New York, I was on the subway and I was watching this younger person. And a lot of, as you mature and you grow up, you get out of this. It's so wonderful. I would not trade anything to go back to 18, 22, 25, 27. I would not trade it because it's so awesome, losing what I'm about to talk about. And I watched this young man, and he was very pretty, and he was cute, and he was a cute boy, and he was standing on the subway, and he could feel when I was watching him, so I was his audience, right? And when I was watching him, he was trying to look good, right? Because he felt me watching, so he wanted to be a cute guy, and so he wouldn't look at me back. He looked around, and he was so vacant when he was thinking about what he looked like that I lost interest and didn't want to watch him anymore. Yeah. And then I'd turn away and I could feel that he felt that I wasn't watching, and he went to being a normal person. Now, he's a good looking guy. He doesn't have to try, but he's so attractive when he's just being a good looking guy on the subway. And when he's thinking, what do I look like? That is the most unattractive thing. So if you're standing on stage thinking, I want to look sexy, nobody wants to watch that. People want to see you be you, and you are sexy, or you are funny, or you are empowered. You don't have to be, just be. We want to see that. It's so human. That's what performance is about. It's about being human together. It's one of the last remaining art forms that really brings out our humanity for each other. I do film and television too, and film and television do not bring out each other's humanity the same way live performance does. We have to protect this art form, and you can protect it by being a real performer who stands on stage and just be's human. It's the most attractive thing there is.
That's amen. I love that. Yeah. Wow. It's tough to, it's like you need confidence for that, but you also just need comfort in your own skin to not overanalyze that part. And it comes with practice, and it comes with, knowing that people are also on your side and want to be entertained. They're not like necessarily hoping that you fail or something like that. They're looking for, you to succeed. So
especially if they've paid a ticket price.
Yes, there you
right?
go. Yes.
So if they have paid $15, they believe before stepping in that door that you are worth $15.
Yeah.
If they paid $60, they believe that you are worth $60. If you're on Broadway and they're paying $160, $180 for a ticket, they have expectations that you are amazing already. All you have to do is stand there, and they already think you are amazing. So don't worry about it. If they showed up, they said, you're worth my time.
Yeah. And the live performances, you feel the energy, and you're right. You can't replicate that on television or in a movie.
No. I mean,
there's an energy to it.
I do love, as a mature woman, I do love the art form and the subtlety and all of the internal work that I've learned from being on camera acting, but it is not the same as stage acting.
Yeah, and last week actually on our podcast we spoke with Anne Marie Davies, and one of the things she mentioned is that she's hoping to see more performances of pole dance in addition to all the competitions that are out there.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I totally agree with that. I love watching pole, and I love, as you just said, like the connection you make, the energy that's in a pole show. And it just happens that you produce a pole show.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same, when I was getting into it, because I'm obviously from a performance background. And I graduated valedictorian and didn't go to college because I don't believe that you can grade art. And I was clear that I was an artist, that I was going to be an artist, and that was what I was going to pursue. So I didn't want to go ask somebody to say I got a pass or fail. And that extends to competitions for me still. I understand why they exist, and I understand what the lure is. And when my girls win a competition, I'm fucking elated, and I'm so proud, and I brag about them. But it's not really something that I'm going to do, because you can't win. When you're a performer at heart, you can't win or lose your art form. Nobody's better than you. There's only people who are more experienced, they're more real, more authentic, but there's no better to me. So, and production wise, I also felt sometimes when I go to a competition, it's not really set up for the audience. No. It's set up for, the talent and the judges. Yeah. So there's a lot of downtime, and the production's it's not a high value production. It's a little boring.
Like a sports, I guess
it's more sporty. Yeah. And I go to sport. There's definitely entertainment value.
It's purpose for sure, and that's not a necessary component.
But as a performer, of course, I long to see something that had a tight, formatted, beautiful arc of a performance value where people come in and the audience pays a ticket price. And they are never bored. They're taken on a journey with you. There is no downtime. Even in my show, Pinup Pole Show, it's not structured like traditional format or vaudeville, burlesque or vaudeville. It's not solo MC, because even that didn't have the flow that I wanted. I wanted something that was more theatrical and you would want to go see on Broadway. And thank goodness. I mean, people are entertained because we have so many repeat visitors. It's amazing. Some of our fans have been there every show.
Yeah, tell us more about the show. Like, what's the theme? What's the vision of it? I know there's even a car show component, which is really cool. Kind of like what I love about your show is that, we always kind of talk about on this podcast about introducing pole to the general public. And, a lot of these shows is one way of doing that and making people more comfortable with it as an art form and understanding what pole is. But you have really done that because you get people who just come for the car show component and they stay for the...
It's so cool.
Yeah, for the dancing.
I'm into cars. I don't know if you know, but I'm into cars. I have a classic. I love cruise-ins. I love cruises. And I wanted to create like an event that I wanted to go to, basically. So how do pole and burlesque and comedy and cars all come together? I was like, pinup. It's got to be retro because there's something cheeky about all of that. And it wasn't being done either. And I'm still the forerunner and pioneer of this. Like pinup is commonly what people think of when they think burlesque, but also car guys think of pinup. And pole, I see it as an art form. It wants to go burlesque. It wants to go cheeky, funny. And it wants to go like stripper sexy. It has a lot of places it wants to go. But pinup is definitely one of those, that cute, fun. We love our bodies, our curves. We love our sexuality, and we're not afraid to believe we're sexy, and there's nothing bad about it. It's just fun, like
it's super fun.
Celebrating sexy and celebrating cars, and it's cool. So we have a red carpet. It starts with a car show, and all the classic cars come. I send pinup models out. They model with the cars. Our photographer takes stunning photos. It's so cool. The cast members go out. They model with the cars. Then inside we have Platinum Stages poles, and we're actually starting at a second venue. So up until this month, we've only been in North Hollywood, but now we're in Long Beach as well as North Hollywood. And that's a lot of work, but it's cool. So we have a 16-foot pole, we have a 14-foot pole, we have another 14-foot pole, and we have a 9-foot pole. Wow. So we have 4 poles to work on that are permanently installed in the venue. And they're platinum stages. The girls, they all win competitions. They do amazing work. They're teachers. So they need to work on tall poles. And I like to deliver that to them. The show's soundtrack is rock and roll. It's either modern throwback or actual vintage music, which is cool. Yeah. And Tonya Kay does a lot of the artwork in the show, because I don't know if you know, but she's a stunning airbrush artist and visual artist.
I've seen hers. For those who don't know, she's vegan pole dancer on Instagram, and she posts some things sometimes. I'm like, that's rad. I know that's not pole dancing related, but damn, girl, yes.
And if you want to see how good she is, just come see the show, because her artwork is this show is a display of her artwork. And we've been partnering with a collective called Girls Draw on Girls. And this is an all-female art collective. And they work on The Simpsons, they work on TV shows, but they also do pinup on the side. And it's girls drawing girls. And so we've been displaying their artwork. So it's an art show, it's a car show, there's dinner and drinks. We have pinup photo shoots going on for guests. We have a red carpet for guests. And then the show itself is 70 minutes of amazing. It's I Love Lucy meets Cirque du Soleil. We do tribute comedy, we do musical comedy, we do headliner burlesque with some major installations, including my champagne glass. I fabricated it. There's only 3 in LA. I own one.
Wow. Wowza.
The whole thing is super cool. And if I could develop it even further, I see it going towards like a festival and having bands after the show. So people could stay and swing dance or dance and do their own thing, you know?
Yes, I love your enthusiasm, and I'm so turned on by people who have such creative passion and vision and frickin' execute it. And so, I mean, let you be a role model to people that are thinking of starting their own pole production, that it's possible.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too, business wise. I do all these specialties, right? Yeah. And when you're a specialty artist, you get paid better than just being a dancer, because it's a specialty and not everybody does it. And it's acknowledged that it takes extra time and extra work and extra money to do a specialty. You buy your props, you get good at it. Yeah. So as a specialty artist, I was used to booking at a certain rate. And then I started pole dancing, and it was near impossible to even get paid to pole dance at that point. And, I could go into why I think that is. Most people have only seen it at a strip club, and I have no judgment on that, but the business of the strip club is different than what they're used to hiring specialty artists for. So they don't expect that they would have to pay a realistic rate to get a pole dancer.
That's insulting.
It's insulting. So that's why I wanted to create this show. It was to answer the production value that I wanted to see. It was to get ideas out of my head and onto stage finally, not just my own solos, but other people's work. And it was also to pay my dancers, and they deserve to be paid.
Yes, that was something that came up in last week's podcast too, that it's a difficult industry. There's no money in pole dance, and so just elevating the value of it, that's another positive part of this whole
and taking it to the mainstream. Mm-hmm. So making the show good enough that people want to come see it, not because they are pole fans. Mm-hmm. We want pole fans there, and pole fans come. But I want people who just want to go see some theater.
Yeah.
They've never seen pole dance before. Okay, now I personally have exposed like hundreds of people in LA to theatrical pole dance who wouldn't have otherwise, they wouldn't have gone to a competition. They wouldn't have gone to a different pole show, a studio showcase. They wouldn't have gone to any of that, but they come see my theater. And now it's spreading. And I do feel like it ups the value of pole dancers everywhere, because the mainstream finally is like, oh, it's not just at strip clubs. Oh, it's not just a competition. I mean, that's fantastic, but they got to know that it's got value in entertainment.
I completely agree. That's great. And great message. And also you are very outspoken and passionate raw vegan. Yeah. And that is something I just wanted to bring up too, is that you're for those who are just listening, she's just gulping down some green juice right now.
Yeah, alkalized. People alkalized.
And it just happens that all the girls in your troupe that perform at the Pinup Pole Show are also vegetarian or vegan. Did you guys connect on that beforehand, or how did that happen?
I don't know. I just got lucky. I don't know how I got so lucky. And some of the girls that have performed with the show have since gone vegan as well. So it's spreading. I don't know. I just got lucky. It's like attracts like.
Yeah, no. I was just going to say, that's the kind of like the energy you put out there is kind of the energy that's returned to you. And those people, you kind of find each other. You find your tribe.
And then when we are together, it's like we're tighter. Because it's unspoken, our parties that we have a decompression party after the show, and it's going to be vegan. You don't even have to talk about it, and if we go out to eat together, we choose a vegan place. We have this like connection where I love other people. It's not like I don't love carnivores, but sometimes you have to, we got to go to a vegan place, or you don't get to eat that good of food or whatever. Yeah. So we've got this connection, and it's moral, and it's ethical, and it's environmental, and it's health-based. And I'm proud because all these chicks are like hardcore athletes.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So when people come to see this show and they're like, bam, Tiffany Rose Mockler, like doing this up the pole, no legs. She just climbs the pole with two hands.
She's so bad.
And then Candace Kane with a 6-pack abs and the legs out to here. And Monica Kay with her tattoo, vegan for life over here. And, me, sexy as hell and unafraid of anything. And then Heather Lou, just voluptuous blonde, she's everything that you think is sexy. And we're doing this like vegan. I love to talk about it during the show even. I'm like, plant-based power. Check it out.
Yeah, something about you just, you're really contagious with your excitement, but clearly you're really good at just creating communities and building communities around whatever it is you do.
I'm super communal based, that's for sure.
Yeah. So that's just another instance of how that worked out for you in that sense.
Yep, you're right. Like attracts like.
Yeah. So wow. And before we finish talking about the pole show or the Pinup Pole Show, is there any challenges that you just can share with us putting it out there? Because I know that in the end, what we see as an audience is pretty stellar, pretty amazing. It's very polished, but what are we missing that's going on behind the scenes, just out of curiosity? Because I've never been involved in producing anything such as that.
Girl, I mean, producing is not performing.
Yeah.
If somebody had told me that as soon as I started producing, I would have no more time to go to pole class, I might have reconsidered.
Wow.
It takes a producer's job is a producer who does a good job. It takes all your time. It's like my career, and it's so hard for me personally to enjoy the day because I work from 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. the next day,
wow.
And at hour 13, I star in my own show.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I don't even get to hang out at the cruise-in. All the other people are enjoying the car show, and I'm like down there for 10 minutes. All right, got to go back up. So produce, just anybody who's thinking about producing, like, it's your job. Don't produce because you love to perform. Produce because you have something that you want to create as a producer and you want to see it happen and you're willing to dedicate your time to that. That's what's hard. Getting along with the girls, easy as pie. Getting them to deliver show-stopping performances, simple. But the hardest part about producing is selling tickets and time management, for sure.
Promoting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even enjoy social networking all that much, but you wouldn't know it by how much time I spend on it.
It's a necessary evil in a lot of people's lives, yes.
Yeah. In the future, I will, like, I'm good at all aspects of everything. Like, I can design websites, and I in between the shows, I produce photo shoots, pinup photo shoots with amazing photographers, and all the girls get together and we grab, car clubs like Odd Squad and Voodoo Disciples, and we bring them into the photo shoots, and they're big productions that have no audience, and it's not like I just relax after the shows.
It's always something.
It's still creating. And then you're buying new costumes and then building new props. This is a high production value show. Like, the set pieces and the props are worth the ticket price alone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's something that makes for, speaking before about like what makes for a great performance and, engaging with the audience, but also you can't deny how important it is to have good costumes, good stage design, things like that. Even lighting, it makes a difference. That's not something, especially the lighting, things like that, you can't necessarily control if you're in a performance, but if you're producing a performance,
you're there. You're running tech.
That's your thing.
You're involved with every aspect of the show. Someday I'll pay somebody else to do it, but that's not yet. But, the financial commitment of it being my own company, I'm not bringing in soloists who are doing their solo. Mm-hmm. I'm not expecting the girls to have to pay to perform. I am investing in my belief in this company. And so, just to give you a little idea, one pinup dress, one nice pinup dress is $170. Oh, wow. There are 5 girls in my show. That dress will be used to recostume just the opening number. One act, $200 per girl, 5 girls. That's like $800, $900 to recostume just the opener.
Wow.
And there's 12 to 15 acts in the show.
I was just going to ask, and how many acts are there? Wow.
Think about it. Think about it.
It adds up. It's investment. I don't think people even think about that sometimes, but it is, it's an art form in and of itself, being able to produce a show. It's not just the performers themselves. It's the artistic vision that goes in behind the scenes that maybe some of us don't even think about.
I did a fundraiser on Indiegogo to get started.
Okay.
Yep. I raised like $9,000.
Oh, cool.
And the people who contributed are directly responsible for the success of the show. Absolutely. I don't think I could have really justified taking my money.
Yeah, or a lot,
It would have been very difficult to start the show any other way. Ooh, yeah. So they are the reason that it exists, pretty much.
Yeah, and see, that is where, we just said, social media, but then, yay, social media.
Yeah. That's your community. There's another community in there. So you get to talk to the people and you follow through with the people. And the people who contributed now ask me, how's your show doing? And I'm delighted to tell them that they were a part of what is now a super success. Like, it's going really well. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. So anyone, well, first of all, the website is pinuppoleshow.com, is that?
Yeah, pinuppoleshow.com. And we're on all social networks. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, G+, Twitter. And yeah, you can follow us. You can interact. I'm very available. I'm running everything. So just talk to me.
Yes, get on the mailing list so you can hear when the shows are coming up and things.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it before, you do produce some really cool like promo videos that are really fun.
Media. Yeah. We do media in between the live show. We have photo shoots and we have videos that we're creating. We're getting some great press coverage. Penthouse TV just did an amazing segment on us where at the end, the host, Sam Phillips, said, and I quote, "This is the best fucking show I've ever seen."
Oh, unquote.
Penthouse TV. Penthouse TV. I was like, thank you, Sam Phillips.
Wow. It's quite the accolade. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, cool. So when's the next show then? I know for anyone listening currently, the next show is in March.
Yeah, March 19th, we're debuting down in Long Beach.
Okay.
So register your car. Tell your classic car, custom car friends, get them there, dress pinup. We give away prizes for the best pinup dress. We give away prizes for the best cars. That's March 19th is our debut in Long Beach at the Federal. And then March 26th, the weekend after, is our first show of the year in North Hollywood at the Federal. And that one is got a lot of momentum going. So that one's a lot of fun. If you're up in the valley, like come. If you're in Hollywood, come to that one.
I'll be at that one too. So.
Oh, good.
I'm so excited. And then if you're listening to this at a later date, this is an ongoing production. Yep. So
just check out our website.
Check out the website. You'll see when the next one is.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so moving to the kind of closing questions, the standard questions that I ask everyone to close out the podcast. Number one, who is Tonya Kay's pole crush?
Natasha Wang. I love her technique and I love the artistry of her movement.
Yes, you're not the first one to mention her. She's a babe, totally.
Such a babe.
And how would you like to see the pole community evolve over the next 5 years?
Well, of course, all that we already talked about. I would like to see the production value go up. I would like to see people create with a longer vision than just a single act, like create performance productions. But mostly, what I'd really like to see in the pole community is the business mind take over. Like us take ourselves and our values seriously and stop working for free. Now, there's the difference between doing a studio showcase.
Yes.
That's not working for free. That's community-based. I totally know there are different reasons to perform. There are different reasons to perform.
Yes. I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it for the experience. I'm doing it with my studio. And I know a lot of us do that. But you're speaking of there's a career in this and people need to be valued for their talents and the time and efforts.
It's like that, love Burning Man. I've spun in the Fire Conclave 5 years.
Wow.
And I've been there at Love Burning Man. But some people will go to Burning Man and discover that they love fire spinning or some performance art. And then they'll take it to their hometown and they will lower by accepting jobs that are sub-professional rate. It hurts the whole community of professionals. So I've seen this in dance. I've seen it in acting. I mean, it's the plight of the artist. But if we together can all agree that we deserve to be paid, then we will. We all will get paid.
Yes.
And I want to see people get paid because it's a valuable entertainment form.
Yes. People can't put on beautiful productions like yourself if you're not being paid for it. If you can't do that for free. So
I want to see our really strong pole community develop an equally strong business mind.
I think that's a really insightful response to that question. And then is there anything coming up? We kind of already touched on this, but to share with the audience, I think we shared all of your social media already. We know when the show's coming up. I already pushed to go find your YouTube so you can see.
Cool.
see your performances. Is there anything else that I left out?
Yeah, actually, in my acting career, this is kind of exciting. I just won Best Villain from the Horror Society. So, and I was the only female nominee. So, talk about female empowerment. Like, I was the only chick there. And then on March 13th on Lifetime, I star in a movie that's going on Lifetime Movie Network. It's called The Other Wife. Okay. And your grandpa can watch it. My grandpa's going to watch it. It's on Lifetime. And
I'm sure my mom definitely will be watching it.
It's good. It's a thriller. It's edgy.
Cool. And so your acting stuff's on your personal website, which is tonyakay.com. Is that right?
Yep. TONYAKAY.com.
Cool. Check it out, everyone. And then finally, can you leave us with an empowering message just to sign off with?
Yeah. Last year, when I was pushing so hard to create the show and uphold my acting career and my dance career and burlesque with other companies, I pretty much made myself sick because I did not allow for time to rest, to make healthy food, to be with my lover like I should. And so right now I'm learning that no matter how passionate you are about things, you have to have priorities. And those priorities are summed up in this statement that I want to leave everybody with. Live slow, die old. No reason to go faster than that.
Don't burn out. That's great. Cool. Don't
priorities, health.
Yes.
Loved
self-care.
Ones. And then everything else.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was such a great conversation.
Thank you, Minxxx.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to the Pole Parlour podcast. Want more? Visit poleparlour.com for show notes and to link to the Facebook group where you can connect with other poleaholics and continue the conversation. Listen to past episodes and subscribe to new episodes on the website, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. Lots of love, babes. Thanks for listening.